Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about my YouTube goals. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, hi Frederick, I saw a satire programmer YouTuber and it made me realize how much I appreciate your channel. Thank you so much. So the question in question I have is, what are your YouTube goals? Why did you start this channel and how do you like/dislike it at this phase, or how far it's come along? So the reason why I started the channel was simply because a few years back I had this idea that software development is something that I enjoy. It's a big passion of mine. And so I had this thought that I wanted to, one part, help some people out, because basically when I was starting out, the thing that I could find in droves was like tutorials of how to do certain things, like the beginner stuff, right? But I couldn't really find anything that helped me understand the higher level when you've learned the basics, because everything else that is not the pure basics is usually down to just tool recommendations and pitches from people on like TikToks, where they talk like architects waste everybody's time a lot of the time with conceptual stuff that really doesn't. I'm not going to go too far, but it's it's so high level that somebody who's just looking to become a mid-level software developer or get their first job, it's not really all that useful. It's very rare, I find, to find tech talks that are good and useful as for a actual professional. So that's the thing that I figured, that since I couldn't find anything like that, I wanted to do that thing. And so I started doing that, and it's really down to my desire to, the other part was that I want to someday teach programming, or like show people, like the way I think I described it to my friends at the time was that I want to be the sort of software developer who's seen most of it, like seen it all, quote unquote, and basically share that once I've done all the traveling, the professional traveling that I need to do. A similar sort of character would be Martin Fowler, Uncle Bob types of people, I suppose. Like there are so many gigantic names within the space where they've done a lot within our community, and it's almost always worth hearing them out at the very least when they have thoughts on something. That's the sort of thing that I was going for with this. So I figured that videos are cheaper for me to make, because since I don't script anything, I literally just film myself talking. And there's no real editing process. It actually started out even simpler than it is today. Now I actually have some type of walking video, because I figure that you don't want to sit and watch my face for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever it is, right? Or maybe you do, I don't know. So I figured so I've done some small experiments here and there because I thought it was fun more than anything else. But in the beginning it was really just, if you go back, you'll see it's really me holding my phone to my face, and then that's the whole thing, right? Because the thing is, I don't have any ambitions whatsoever to make this channel into something more than what it is today. Sure, if somebody comes along who has like it's the sort of right thing, because I've turned down every single opportunity that I've been given for YouTuber collaboration, producing content for the really, really big channels, like the main, Traverse Media and like Free Code Camp, etc., and so forth. And it's not because I don't think that these channels are good. I think they're great. Like, they have a lot of awesome videos. It's just that I don't want to be so serious about it. I've had some like publishing companies reach out, and I think other just let's just say that there have been a few opportunities over the years where like I could make this more serious, and of course more than a few like these people reaching out, can you endorse our product on your channel? I kind of went, yeah, that's never gonna happen. I can promise you that's never gonna happen, because that to me represents exactly the thing that I'm fighting, and that's the only thing that that's my one measurement for how well this channel is doing. And it really comes down to can I just do this thing without compromising on any of my core principles? And unfortunately, this is a social dream. I know it's not going to happen, but it's a social dream. I would have loved if I do this thing here, I don't know, something magical changes in the world and it becomes like this massive super success, and then everybody wants my YouTube flesh. I would have loved to be in a position where I'm forced to take that to make that very tough decision. Because most of the people who go and become really, really famous, they're for you, because you don't get to be a supermassive star without playing ball with the powers that be. But I would have loved to be in that position and to see what would be my price, if that makes sense. I would think that would be very interesting, because it's that they're all saying, guys tell their girlfriends that they would never cheat on them, or like women do the same thing. And there's a very nice, there's a few people who will tell you that that is usually true. That's true for a lot of guys and girls, but they don't have a truckload of supermodels willing to have sex with them for just being who they are every single time they go out of their apartment, right? And that sort of situation is to say, it's easy to say that you're all about principles and all about that stuff when there's no offer on the table. But when there's an offer on the table, it's much more difficult. And so, I mean, for me, turning down a few deals here and there, it hasn't been much of because you will learn that if you get to know me, money is not a good incentive to get me to do things, because I simply don't need it. I have enough, and that's the thing. It's my value system is that I want to just keep this a casual thing, make something that is good. And I mean, sure, if somebody wanted to collaborate or like something, an opportunity presented itself that had all the, that checks all my requirements, then sure, let's do it. But overall, no, this is never intended to be more than this little hobby thing. The best way I can describe it is that imagine that the thing that you're watching is very similar to how someone who's like into fitness or someone who is an athlete, when they would film themselves doing practice runs, and then they go and check that afterwards to like kind of check their form to see if they're improving or if there are like weaknesses or like things that don't seem to be as good as they could be. And that's pretty much the entire purpose of this channel. I'm still, and I'm not joking, I'm still amazed that I don't actually know how many subscribers I have at this point, but I know it's over 1,000 or something like there's 10,000 I know for at the very least, which is about 10 times as many people as I ever expected. There's actually, I still remember it, there's actually a video where I say that it would be really cool if I ever made it to 100 subscribers. And now I'm at 10,000 something, or maybe more. And it's I have already, like YouTube goals achieved. So what I want you to take away from this is that the simple answer is that I don't have any YouTube goals. I'm already doing the thing that I set out to do, because the channel has proven to me that it is possible to at least get some, how do I put this in a nice way? The people who you find on the comment sections and the people who are actually watching this, I know for a fact that these are people who have figured out that there's a difference between being a professional software developer and a YouTuber. And the vast majority of the popular people on YouTube, like the quote unquote coders that you watch, they're not actual programmers. I know for a fact that they're not, or rather, their primary focus is not professional grade software development. You're watching me. I have a standard 9 to 5 type of deal. I've been working as a this is literally something I do in my spare time. Everything else is spent doing programming. You can go and check my CV. It's going to be programming all the way. You can check my GitHub repositories, everything like that. There is nothing that I'm not an influencer in any way. This is really just like collecting stamps or going to the gym for me. And so I share that both for my sake and for other people's sakes, because I'm not doing this professionally, and I don't want to do it professionally. I just want to give people a chance to see what the difference is. And for some people it's better to watch the famous channels, because when you're starting to learn programming, it's really good to have that sort of stuff. But this channel proves that there's also an audience that are just looking for a conversation with someone who actually does the job. And I've found that these sorts of conversations, incidentally, for those of you who are actually working in the industry, I hope that some of the stuff that we're talking about, or like I'm talking about, are the sorts of conversations that you have with your coworkers, because these are the sorts of conversations I have with my coworkers. Have a great day.